Imagine you put an ice cream cone in your hand on a hot summer day and you just hold it. You don't eat it, you don't put it in the freezer, you just let it sit there in the sun. What happens? It melts. Drip by drip, it disappears, and by the time you look down, you're left holding an empty wrapper, wondering where it all went. That ice cream cone is your money sitting in a regular savings account right now. And the sun melting it isn't some random bad luck. It's inflation, it's fees, and it's a banking system that is quietly, legally, and very profitably taking advantage of the fact that most people have no idea how money actually works. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how your bank is making a fortune off you while paying you basically nothing in return. And more importantly, I'm going to show you what the top 1% do instead, so their money never melts. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you're going to look at your bank account completely differently. Let's talk about Alex. Alex is a regular guy. He works hard, he gets his paycheck, and he does what he was taught to do. He puts his money in the bank. Right now, Alex has $20,000 sitting in his savings account, and he feels good about it. He feels responsible. He thinks, I'm not in debt, I'm saving, I'm doing the right thing. But here's what Alex doesn't know. His bank is paying him an interest rate of around 0.4% a year. That means on his $20,000, he's earning about $80 a year. $80. That's not even enough to cover 1 month of his phone bill. Now let's bring in the advisor, because this is where it gets uncomfortable. The advisor looks at Alex's account and says, Alex, I need you to understand something. Inflation last year ran around 3%. That means the stuff you buy, groceries, gas, rent, got 3% more expensive. But your money in that account only grew 0.4%. So in real terms, your $20,000 didn't grow at all. It actually lost buying power. You didn't save money this year, Alex. You lost about $520 in value, and you didn't even notice because the number on the screen went up a little bit. This is the first trap, and it's the most dangerous one because it feels safe. Nobody robs Alex at gunpoint. Nobody hacks his account. The money just quietly evaporates, the same way that ice cream melts in the sun, and the bank doesn't even have to do anything wrong to make this happen. They just have to do nothing and let inflation do the work for them. So if the bank is barely paying Alex anything, where does all that money actually go? This is trap number 2, and it's called fractional reserve banking, and once you understand it, you will never look at your bank the same way again. Picture a giant glass jar. You drop your $20,000 into that jar, thinking it's just sitting there, waiting for you. But the truth is, banks are only required to keep a small slice of that money on hand. The rest, the vast majority of it, gets lent out to other people, for car loans, for mortgages, for credit cards. And here's the part that makes Alex's jaw drop. The bank charges those borrowers interest rates of 7%, 10%, sometimes 20% or more on credit cards. So the bank takes Alex's $20,000, pays him $80 a year for the privilege of using it, then turns around and lends pieces of that same money to 10 different people, charging each of them serious interest. The bank isn't just holding Alex's money, they're renting it out for massive profit. And Alex is the one supplying the inventory for free. Now for trap number 3, and this one is sneakier because it's not really the bank, it's the system around the bank. Think of your paycheck like a pizza. You worked hard, you earned that whole pizza, 12 slices, fresh and hot. But before it even reaches your kitchen table, slices start disappearing. Federal income tax takes a slice. State tax might take another. Social Security and Medicare take their slice. And by the time the pizza actually reaches you, you're not eating 12 slices, you're eating maybe 8 or 9. Now here's the trap. Most people only look at the slices that are visibly missing. They don't realize that inflation is quietly nibbling at the remaining slices too, shrinking what's left even further. So you've got taxes taking a visible cut, and inflation taking an invisible cut, and most people are budgeting based on a pizza that was already smaller than they think. The advisor's point here isn't that taxes are evil or that banks are villains in a cartoon. Banks need to make profit, and taxes fund real things. The point is that nobody ever sat Alex down and explained any of this to him. He was never taught how the system actually functions, so he just trusted that putting money in the bank was being smart with money. And that brings us to what the 1% actually do differently. The 1% aren't smarter than Alex. They don't have some secret formula hidden in a vault. What they have is information, and they use that information to make their money work as hard as they work. Here's exactly what that looks like in practice. First, instead of letting cash sit in a savings account earning almost nothing, the 1% park their emergency cash in a high-yield savings account, an HYSA, which can pay 4 to 5 times more interest than a traditional bank account, sometimes 4% or higher. Same safety, same FDIC insurance, completely different return. It's a 5-minute change that most people simply never make because nobody told them it existed. Second, for money they want safe but still earning, many of them use Treasury bills, T-bills. These are essentially loans you give to the U.S. government for a short period of time, and in return, the government pays you interest, often more competitive than a regular bank, and it's backed by the full faith of the U.S. government. It's the financial equivalent of upgrading from a leaky bucket to a sealed steel container. Third, and this is the big one, instead of keeping all their wealth in cash that melts with inflation, the 1% put their long-term money into assets that grow over time, primarily low-cost index funds. Historically, a simple S&P 500 index fund has returned around 10% a year on average over the long run. Compare that to the 0.4% Alex was getting. If Alex had taken just half of that $20,000 and put it into an index fund instead of letting it sit, over 20 years, assuming that historical average, that money could grow to roughly $70,000. Not because Alex did anything heroic, but because he let his money work instead of letting it sleep. And finally, the 1% practice something called asset allocation, which just means they don't put all their eggs in one basket. Some money in stocks for growth, some in bonds or T-bills for stability, some in cash for emergencies. It's not complicated, it's just intentional. The entire difference between Alex and the 1% isn't luck, and it isn't some secret club. It's that the 1% made their money move, while the banking system was counting on Alex's money staying still. Here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. The banking system isn't designed to hurt you on purpose, but it is designed to profit from you staying uninformed. Every single day that you don't know about HYSAs, T-bills, or index funds is a day where your money sits there, melting just a little bit more, while someone else profits from it sitting still. The good news is, now you know. You're not Alex anymore, sitting there confused while his ice cream melts in the sun. You're starting to think the way the 1% think. But this is just one piece of the puzzle. There are dozens of these hidden traps built into the system, things they never taught you in school, and things your bank will never volunteer to tell you because their profit depends on you not knowing. That's exactly why this channel exists. If you don't subscribe to the 1% logic right now, you're going to lose access to the exact strategies that could change how you see money for the rest of your life. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, because next time I'm going to break down the exact trap hiding inside your 401k that almost nobody is talking about. I'll see you in the next one.